Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover today. And we're starting with just a very short update regarding a game that is very likely going to be shown off at a state of play that is happening at the end of this week. That game being Death Stranding 2 on the beach. So we already had some evidence that Kojima was getting ready to show off a new trailer, potentially a release date trailer, but now it seems pretty much confirmed that that's what's going to be happening. So being reported by Gaming Bolt, it says Hideo Kojima's teases about a new trailer for Death Stranding 2 on the beach have been continuing, with his latest post on social media going as far as showing us the first few seconds of the trailer. The few seconds of the trailer, shown largely in grayscale, feature Fragile and protagonist Sam Porter, and they're having a conversation about meeting someone face-to-face for the first time. Kojima has posted that the trailer is currently in the main sound mixing stage. So this comes shortly after Kojima was teasing that he was editing a trailer, and, you know, a lot of people assumed it was for Death Stranding 2, but we didn't necessarily have confirmation of that. But it seems that Kojima himself pretty much confirmed that, yes, I'm making a new Death Stranding 2 trailer. And again, the state of play is happening at the end of this week. So I think it's safe to say that's where it's going to show up. But I just wanted to report this to you guys in case there was any doubt that the trailer he was working on maybe wasn't Death Stranding 2 related. Moving on to the next topic, we have something interesting regarding Insomniac. According to Insomniac Games' Ted Price, the CEO, who is going to be retiring very soon, apparently the most stressful period for the studio was when they moved away from working with Sony. So this was revealed again in a recent interview with Kinda Funny, where he was asked this question about, you know, what was the most stressful period? And he said, I think the most stressful period was when we had moved away from working with Sony and we were getting comfortable with working with other partners who had completely different approaches than we did. I think we'd become so compatible with Sony in terms of our approach and philosophies that it was a little bit of a shock and took some adjusting to work with others with our approach and the philosophies, and that was a little bit of a shock, and it took some adjusting to work with other publishers, and that can be distracting. When you're trying to get games out the door, I think for every developer-publisher relationship, it takes time to mature and get to a place where both parties are comfortable. And during that period when we weren't working as closely with Sony, we didn't give it enough time. We didn't give ourselves a lot of time with these other publishers before we ultimately went back to Sony. But at the same time, I think we knew what we were looking for, and we knew that from the beginning. We had the best and most compatible partner with Sony. So I thought that this was just worth covering briefly because we've been getting some interesting information from Ted Price. And so, yeah, I mean, when you look at just how successful Insomniac has been working with Sony in the past, even before they were officially acquired, it kind of makes sense that they ultimately ended up back with Sony, and just some interesting insight there. Moving on to the next topic, I just want to briefly let you guys know that it has been confirmed by Capcom that they're going to be extending the open beta test number 2 when it comes to Monster Hunter Wilds due to the PSN outage. They say here, hunters were pleased to confirm that due to the PlayStation Network outage that occurred during the first week of Open Beta Test 2, we're extending the second week of the Open Beta Test 2 by 24 hours on all platforms. So just wanted to take a moment to keep you guys updated with that. They were talking about potentially doing this, but, you know, the very next day they confirmed that, yeah, they're going to be extending it by a day. Moving on to the next set of topics, we have updates regarding WB Games and what's going on with their studios and their titles, and it's, I would say, mostly bad news, unfortunately, but there is something very interesting and I think pertinent to PlayStation here. Being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle, they say it was reported in 2024 that Rocksteady was working on a new Batman title. This was coming from Xbox Era's Special Nick Baker, who claimed that Sony was even attempting to lock it down as a PlayStation exclusive. While the details are still unclear, we now have Bloomberg's Jason Schreier corroborating at least half of those claims, stating that a new Batman game is indeed in the works. In a lengthy report from Schreier on Bloomberg, He had new details on WB Games and their multiple studios. In his segment about Rocksteady, he discusses the tumultuous launch of Kill the Justice League, which inevitably led to the game's last content update implemented within the game's first year. According to Schreier, it seems Rocksteady is now ready to go back to what has worked for them before. Reported by Push Square, says Hogwarts Legacy developer Avalanche Software is currently making a sequel to its popular title, as well as an expanded version of the first game. This is again coming from Jason Schreier from the same Bloomberg report. Warner Bros. Has already all but confirmed Hogwarts Legacy 2 will happen, calling it one of the company's biggest priorities in coming years, but has remained quiet about re-releasing the first entry with more content. In a deep dive into the development issues that Warner Bros. Is facing, which highlights the many struggles of other titles, Schreier touches on how Avalanche Software is now working on new content for Hogwarts Legacy, as well as a sequel. And so, as for the sequel, Schreier reports there are concerns among the higher-ups at Warner Bros. Questions linger about whether the success of the first game can even be replicated, let alone surpassed, or if the pent-up demand has already been satiated. So it is the best-selling game of 2024. They claim here, and I don't know how accurate this is, but they say that Hogwarts Legacy has sold over 34 million units. The last I heard, it sold over like 23, so I don't know if maybe that's a typo. But yeah, this is something that we've been hearing about for some time now, a Hogwarts Legacy kind of like, I guess, Game of the Year edition or something like that, where it's going to have some DLC. That hasn't been announced yet, but yeah, the idea of them making a sequel, it's a no-brainer. I think it's kind of crazy that they're like, is it even going to be as good as the first one? Like, guys, come on. Like, the game sold over 23 million copies at full price. I'm going to say that even if it gets anywhere close to that, it would be considered a success. I mean, the expectations from some of these higher-ups, man, it's kind of scary, right? Like, the amount of publishers and studios that would kill to have a game sell even half that. But there you go. But we're going to wrap this up. Apparently, something else that Jason Schreier reported on is that a Flash game was apparently in the works at WB Games Montreal, but it ended up getting scrapped due to the poor reception of the movie. A Constantine game was also pitched, but never happened. And then he also gives us an update on the Wonder Woman game, and it looks like this game is pretty much doomed. Apparently, the Wonder Woman game ended up getting completely rebooted. So it says in a new report from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, he gives details on Monolith and the current struggles they are having with the Wonder Woman video game. The game was allegedly one of WB Games' biggest bets and has already cost the company $100 million, according to people familiar with the situation. It also seems there is doubt that it will ever launch to the public. It's years away from being finished. One of the company's biggest bets in development, a video game based on Wonder Woman, has struggled to coalesce, according to people familiar with the project. Early last year, it was rebooted and switched directors. The game already cost more than $100 million, said people who asked not to be identified when discussing non-public information. So yeah, it seems like the management over at WB Games has been pretty much a train wreck. It's unfortunate because it seems like a lot of the stuff that we are hoping to see from them, or like when we think about them kind of getting it back together and getting back on the right track, it's many, many years away. And some of these games like Wonder Woman just seem like they're not ever going to see the light of day. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over this. I'm a little bit late to this news, but I wanted to cover this info because, you know, we have seen that Sony and WB Games have a pretty strong or close partnership over the years, and we'll have to see how this unfolds. I'll continue to keep you guys updated. That's going to do it for the video, though. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.